Lisa Schnebly Heidinger is celebrating Arizona with lots of interesting people, so you'll hear wonderful voices with new stories. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z, and we're off.
Hello and welcome to Celebrating Arizona. I'm excited about our guest today, and he is part of one of my favorite things in the world, which is the Green Valley News. Dan Shearer, welcome.
Welcome. I am so glad to be here. And you know what, Lisa? Let's be honest. We'll probably have to tell people where Green Valley is.
Do you really think? Well, I suppose in the world that could be true. You know, we have listeners in Russia's and all kinds of places. So yes, and 30 minutes south of Tucson. How far? 19 miles?
Yeah, about that. And so Green Valley is very roughly 2 miles wide and like 10 miles long. So it depends on where you are. But yeah, we're about that 25 minutes south of Tucson.
Okay. And it was an early and, for me, very important, technically retirement community, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And it still is. Median age 72. I live in
No.
Sahuarita. Yes. I live in Sahuarita, just north, just connected to the north. And the median age here is about half that.
Oh, and Sarita
So,
has taken off. When I
oh
was
my
in Green Valley,
goodness.
Sarita was smaller than Green Valley.
Oh, absolutely. And between 2000 and 2010, Sahuarita was the second fastest growing community by percentage in Arizona, right behind the
Really?
city of Maricopa. Yeah, because a developer came in and got some cheap land and really just has turned the place on its ear. Some people like it, some people don't, but everyone's getting used to it. Right now, we have about 37,000 people,
Wow,
and
in Sarita. And how big
yeah,
is Green Valley
yeah.
now?
Green Valley is it's a strange question because I'm going to tell you 30,000. The census is going to say a lot less, and the fact is about a third of Green Valley leaves in the summer, anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months, and a lot of
Oh,
those people register, their residency back in their home states, and so we don't get the
sure.
credit for them, but we sure have the
Dang.
bodies here most of the year.
Well,
So.
and on Social Security Day, I bet the economy just goes crazy.
Oh, I tell you, everyone. Yeah, everyone knows the days that they get their checks, and now, of course, they're direct deposited, and they run out and go shopping. So it's a great
So,
place. I love it here.
when did you and I meet?
Oh boy, I arrived here in 2009. I had
Okay.
been 22 years at the Arizona Republic, and came down here. Absolutely love community news, and stepped into this. And not long after, I think we might have had our first crossing of paths, and I was really excited to learn that you had worked here. And I thought,
Yeah.
good grief, this woman is a legend in Arizona history, and I've read her stuff, I've enjoyed her stuff, and she started right here. I
Oh,
loved it.
Green Valley was so important to me.
Uh,
And
yeah,
as you say, community journalism, there's not, there's, it's just so great.
I tell
And
you, it I learned that during COVID. I mean, I knew it before that people really want to know what's going on in their backyard, but COVID was very interesting because people cared what was going on nationally and internationally, but then boom, they wanted to know what's going on across the street. And I thought, okay, so all the stuff in between, as far as that topic was concerned, didn't really matter as much. And they wanted to know, okay, how's it hitting us here? And so local, which, newspapers have always preached. Who else is doing reliable, let me emphasize that word, reliable, objective news in your community? Not too many.
yeah, yeah. And speaking of David McCumbert up in Tucson,
Hmm.
he was you in Butte, Montana for a long time
Yes,
and loved it.
absolutely.
And probably would
Yes.
have stayed if the Star didn't need him so bad. but
That was
it's,
certainly the impression we all had, was that
yeah,
this guy's being pulled out of a place that he really enjoys,
yeah.
and I get it. I fully get it. I would have absolutely zero desire to return to big city journalism again. I got my fill of it. I enjoyed it. It was very competitive. It was learned a lot. Great people you're working around, and I thought, okay, now I'm ready to go. And I have never, you burn the ships and you come on down, and I just have absolutely loved it here.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Do they still do the tree on the tailings at Christmas?
Yes, they sure
Do
do. That thing has
they?
been, yeah, they do. It goes up it lights up every Thanksgiving, and
Oh,
it now,
good.
I believe it's now operated by the mine turned it over to a family a member who's not with us anymore. He started the tradition, and that was a few years ago. But yeah, this beautiful tree just lights up there on the side of the mine tailings, and
I always loved that.
it's a tradition, and yeah, part of the legacy here.
Well, Green
So,
Valley was so important. And if I hadn't had the option of going into radio and television, which I really wanted to do, I would still
hmm
be asking you if I can do a column. I mean, I just loved it. And when friends in Tucson would hear I was working in Green Valley, they go, "Oh, the elephant graveyard," and I would say, "Oh, no, 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 no,"
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
and
No.
learned and shared. If somebody is in danger of being kicked aside for being too old somewhere else, in Green Valley, well, A, they're not too old. I mean, Green
Mm-mm.
Valley it
Mm-mm.
was a vibrant, amazing, wonderful place.
It
Loved
absolutely
being
is. It
there.
rises and falls on volunteerism, and which is kind of an interesting issue here, because younger people who are retiring, like to volunteer in different ways, if at all. So it's kind of a big question here. But the folks here, if I had to say one thing about Green Valley, it would be that they have redefined aging for me. I have learned so much from them, and now it's like your working career is just something you want to get out of the way so you can go to retirement and do all these great things that you really want to do. And I'm not talking golf and pickleball, although I'm sure that's part of it for a lot of people. We're talking about meaningful things, and I tell you, I have run into so many people who the last half of their life is far more meaningful than the first half, and I have learned so much from these folks.
I love that. I still carry things I learned when I was interviewing people down there. And one
Oh,
of the
sure.
women's, she had grown up during World War II in England, and I can't do accents. I wish I could, but she said, and all of our china in the cabinet was smashed to smithereens. Use your good things. Don't set them aside and save them. And I'm still not perfect at that, but I thought, boy, I bet that's a hard way to learn that.
Great
Another
advice.
woman,
Wonderful advice. Great.
yeah, another one said, nothing is as permanent as a temporary fixture, which I think of every so often.
I would say, in all my years, I have interviewed senators, I've interviewed, the old titans of industry, et cetera, et cetera. There was only one interview where I was actually nervous on, and that was we had a woman in Green Valley who competed as a figure skater in the 1956 Olympics. And I love the Olympic sports. I don't follow the main ones, but I follow all the Olympic sports. And it was just a thrill to be introduced to her and to be able to tell her story. I just loved it. Lucy Key is her name, and she was just fantastic woman. Loved that,
Marvelous.
but I was
Well,
nervous.
I think that's appropriate. I
Don't know
think that's
why.
kind of lovely. I got to interview
She
two
was awesome.
authors, one who had just done a little book, Margelle DeLauer, and we were friends till she died. We were friends forever. And her best
Mm,
friend Jane
yes.
was serving us lunch, which meant nothing to me. But it turned out that it was Jane Russell, who it should have meant something to me. I just never seen her. And then another author, a young woman, Zeke Browning. Her real name is Sinclair, and we're still friends. She wrote a book called Eskimizin,
hmm
Aravaipa Apache, and it was. But you're right. When you get to interview people, you're a great many are going to be really interesting. Who else?
And And it's like, well, and what we put together at a newspaper is little history books, and we're saving this history. We had a guy from World War II who had flown the Japanese to receive the surrender papers, and he thought it was really an insignificant event. He was 22 at the time. I had gotten a phone call from someone saying, you need to go to the next Aero Club meeting because there's going to be a fantastic story. And I heard the story, we wrote it up, and I asked the guy, have you ever told this story before? And he goes, only to my wife yesterday.
No.
And I thought, good grief. So we have captured that. He had photos, he had great detail and everything. And that was just a little bit of World War II history that we just had in Green Valley. And now now we've captured it forever. And I love doing that.
Marvelous.
I love doing
what
that.
else?
Oh boy. As we have some heavy-duty topics. You have mining, you have water, you have the immigrant stories, and my Spanish is pretty good, and so I have sat down with some of these immigrants myself and heard firsthand why they want to come to the United States. Why is it so important for you to come here? And it makes me really grateful for what we have, and I almost am shamed by not appreciating it as much. So our readers or the people we interview teach us so many lessons. And I have to say, we are roughly 40 miles from the border, but I'm also the editor of the Nogales paper, which is right on the border. And and so I-19, which goes from Tucson down to the border, is about 63 miles. And we are along there. I live off of kilometer 75, and the paper's off of 69.
It's kilometers, it's not miles.
But it is the only interstate in the United States fully signed in metric. And you're thinking, well, how did that happen?
But I got good at it. It's times
It
0.6,
is.
isn't it?
Absolutely. That's basically what you do. So we just are figuring this in our heads, and we get it. And so in 1975, Congress passed the Metric Conversion Act. We were all going to go metric. And between then and when Reagan pulled the plug on that in 1982, I-19 kind of came into its own, and they signed the whole thing in metric as a pilot, really. And then when they pulled the plug on metric, people said, we kind of like it. So if you're driving down, now the speed limit's still 75 miles per hour, because you can only imagine if you have 120 kilometers and what people would do. But the distances are all in kilometers, and you just get used to it. We have people literally who fly from outside Arizona to Tucson just to drive that interstate. They think it's so special. Back in 2012, as we were celebrating the centennial of Arizona, they had developed a new special, better reflective paint for a road sign. So at night, you would see those, and they said, hey, you know what? Since we're doing that, we'll just convert you to miles.
No.
Oh, the uproar. Oh, the uproar over that. And people said, absolutely don't want that. And they laid off, and they allowed us to keep it. So the secret is, though, if you're on the interstate and you're heading south, just turn your head 90 degrees to the right, and then you can actually see that there are small mile marker signs. Most people never would notice those because you can't see them as you're driving, but those are there too. But we all do it in metric.
Yeah, I love that. Love it. I love so much about being down there. I was just down there. I did some dental tourism in Nogales a couple weeks ago. So I was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But passing the Big Chicken, the Tumacacori, used to be the way station. I think it's closed now.
Yes, yes, and of course we now have a checkpoint that's just north of Two Bags. You're coming back north that everybody goes through, and I still get asked, and that checkpoint is roughly, 20 miles, 15 miles north of the border, and people still say, do I need a passport? Nope, you're in the United States, you've not left, and just because there's a checkpoint there does not mean you have to prove anything.
Now,
yeah, but they do catch a lot of drugs.
So you are now editing Nogales as well as Green Valley. And how different are those?
Correct. And
leaderships?
Sahuarita. Yeah. Night and day, really, and for lots of reasons. There are some shared interests. For instance, we're on a big story right now about a religious compound that is really right, literally between the two. Tubac is right between the two, so we have that. But Nogales is a very interesting animal, and I love the the board meetings. They get a little
Really?
raucous,
More than Green
and
Valley?
I say, you know what? Oh gosh, better than going
Oh,
to the
wow.
movies. You just go to a Nogales County Board meeting or a City Council meeting, and you're gonna get a face full. And I love that. As we say, it's a good news town. There's lots to tell. I love being close to the border. I love the fact that I go out and as obviously Caucasian as I am, people will just start speaking Spanish to me, and that's just the way it is. Much of the business is conducted in Spanish, though most of the people speak English. They just prefer that. That's okay. That's
Interesting.
their community. They make the call.
Oh.
So, just one of the many, many things that I have fallen in love with. I came down here in 2009, and I will tell you instantly, I thought, I'm home. I am home. I love it
Now, where were
here.
you? Where else have you been?
Well, I will tell you that I was born overseas because my dad was career Army, and then we had planted ourselves in Minnesota. Then January 1972, my parents divorced, so my mom put us all in a car. That's six boys, by the way, and we
Holy
headed to
moly.
Arizona. I, everyone always says your poor mother, and we don't argue. So we end up so we end up in Arizona, and think about that date, January 1972. It was 1 month before Arizona turned 60 years old. And so all of the elementary schools were doing units on Arizona. So weeks after I arrive, I am learning so much about this state, everything from the cactus wren to saguaro, Grand Canyon, tribal nations,
Oh,
state bird,
terrific.
everything. And I thought, this is really a special place. I knew already more than I knew about Minnesota, which was home. And we went to the Heard Museum.
Wow.
This is in third grade.
Wow.
Yeah, in third grade. And I thought, hey, this place is really cool. And we just fell in love with it. But let me tell you our real intro to Arizona. We're coming across I-40, Mom, the station wagon, all the boys, and we just crossed into Arizona from New Mexico, and we see this big fluffy ball rolling across the plain, and we said, Mom, stop the car, and we want to go chase it. And she stopped the car, and we chased it, and we came back dazed and bleeding. That was our introduction to tumbleweeds. We jumped right in the
Oh
middle
my
of them, and we said,
gosh.
okay, won't do that again. But boy, what cool things these are. We never really did figure out, are they weeds, are they trees, are they whatever.
Oh.
But we loved it. And then we came down here, and I got to tell you, other than at school, I don't know that I wore shoes for a year.
Oh. Now, your mother moved you to where then?
Well, initially we were just a short time in Scottsdale, but then Mesa ended up becoming home, and that's where we lived for a
Okay.
real long time. And then I was married there, and we had started the family here and lived there until we came down here. But I did, right after college, spend 2 years in California, and those were important years because I wanted to experience life as an adult outside Arizona, but I always knew I was going to come back. I always knew I was going to come back. And so go experience that, then come back because
Which
this is
makes you
home.
in Arizona. We're going to take a really quick break and come back to that. On AZ250's passport is Prison Hill Brewing Company, Yuma's only microbrewery. The brewery boasts a prison theme. Its popular brews include the Jailbait Blonde Pale Ale, Yard Time IPA, Criminale, and Stolen Dreams. Scratchmate food include fried avocado, the shank burger. They say part of what makes their beers special is being made by souls tough enough to brave the scalding hot summers. So, always coming back to Arizona is what makes you the Arizonan. And over the course of years, I have spoken to groups and things like that. Sometimes somebody will come up and say, I'm a third, fourth, fifth generation Arizonans. And I would say, well, isn't that lovely? To me, especially because I've been told that for every three people who move here, two move on. The Arizonan is the person who comes here and instinctively, instantly gets it and chooses it. That is an Arizonan.
Yes. Love it, and how perfect. And again, when we moved here when I was 8, and I cannot get through this podcast without saying these words, Wallace and Ladmo, they raised
Oh,
us.
okay.
Mom's out trying to bring home the bacon for all these boys, and Wallace and Ladmo sent us off to school in the morning, and we behaved because we were so intrigued with Gerald and Boffo the clown and Marshall Good, and I tell you, they will hold a special place in my heart forever. I got to meet Wallace before he passed away, and it was so special. But again, everything was special about Arizona. Everything seemed so new, so clean. So the weather was great. You're not locked in the house for 6, 7 months a year. It was just, yeah, absolutely, and it was just, it was wonderful, and I just knew
Well, and
this is
that's
it.
interesting to me because it speaks again to what I call the great state of Maricopa and the kind of Mason-Dixon circle. I grew up in Tucson, spent summers in Flagstaff, Winslow, Sedona, and probably, you met Larry, I'm glad. He was a little bit, maybe more than some other people, aware that Maricopa uses all the water, has all the money, is very different than rural towns outside of Maricopa. And when you said Wallace and Ladmo, I thought, oh, a valley guy. Because growing up in Tucson, we had Marshall Kagan. We didn't have Wallace and Ladmo. Just one of the many things that kind of separate the two. But you have been a
Oh,
southern
absolutely.
Arizona resident for now how long?
17 years. 17 years, and we're in Sahuarita, but I'm eyeing Green Valley for that next move. And when I moved here, I was 45, and now I'm 62, and now I'm starting to think, okay, maybe I'm one of them, and I really want to be. And so I didn't think I wanted to live in a neighborhood where you didn't have chalk on the sidewalks and have to climb over kids' bikes and stuff. But now I kind of think I might like that, and I think it's part of just kind of the natural process. But Green Valley has such diversity, not necessarily ethnicity, but just in people's life experiences and their background. And we got some people here who can tell some great stories, and I just love having coffee and listening.
Where do you
Love
have
it.
coffee?
Oh, there is a place called Posada Java, and it is it's open to the public, but it's run by a community here that is absolutely terrific. It's kind of a continuing care that they have independent living and then all the way to memory care. And La Posada is absolutely awesome. As the newspaper editor, I figured it was my job to kind of find a chink in the armor of La Posada. Never could do it. They run it right. They do it right. And the coffee shop's awesome. So it's terrific. We have another new one around the corner called Mocha, and it's a guy out of Nogales, and I love going there too.
Terrific.
So
When I was there, it was Arizona's Family Restaurant and Copper Quail.
yeah, and the family restaurant is still there. They had some long-time owners who just gave it up about 2-3 years ago, and the other one is not there. But there are, it's a little bit more chains coming in, but I guess that's how you measure your
That's a good way to
growth.
look at it.
And I know and at one time they had a Kmart, and then now they have the Walmart, and rumors of a Target coming in, which is like, oh, that's the next step. And people are saying, wait a minute, I'm here, close the gates. We don't want any more growth.
Not in my backyard,
But
Jimmy.
but it's going to happen. And I will tell you, one of my favorite things about this community is you drive from Tucson down I-19 about 15 miles, and you are crossing this absolutely gorgeous reservation land. And the Tohono O'odham, and that just allows you, because there's nothing there. It's not traffic jams or whatever. It is just you just kind of come down from your day if you happen to work up in Tucson, and it's just a great breather before you roll into Sahuarita and Green Valley.
And
Love
now
it there.
that you're doing
Yeah.
both papers, you're also getting to pass through Tubac, Tumacacori, probably not Ruby, but yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I've been to
Good
Ruby, a ghost
for you.
town. That was, yeah, oh yeah, a couple of times. It's recently been closed to the public, but if you can convince them that you're a historian or scientist, you can probably get in there. But I will tell you, I don't know how one can do it, but between my house and Nogales, which is a straight shot down I-19, I got lost last week because we won't get into it. Maybe it was a Green Valley moment. I don't know, but I got off on a road called Pendleton Drive. I actually
Oh,
had
I
to do something there,
remember.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, you know that? Okay, so this was one of those beautiful places that you don't think about, but you discover by just kind of stumbling upon it. So I took Pendleton Drive south from Palo Parado, which is exit kilometer 25. And so you can. So I headed south, and so I'm seeing cows in pastures. I'm seeing hay trucks, walking paths, big trees, green, lots of green. It's along the Santa Cruz River, and it was just relaxing. And I just slowed down, and it was just this gently curving road. And I thought, how have I lived here this long and didn't know about this beautiful road? And it takes you through Rio Rico to Ruby Road, and then you get back on the interstate. I didn't know where I was going. I was lost half the time, but I didn't care. I love those little finds that people show you or you just stumble upon, and I needed that right then.
Oh, that's
I'll tell you that.
marvelous. One of my happy
It's
places
wonderful.
down there is the little church in Tubac.
Oh, sure. Yes, the St. Anne's is there. Is that if that's it? It
Yeah.
might be that. Yep. And yeah, a great place. And Tubac is, where they say it's where art and history meet, and they have a big arts festival every year. But I'll tell you what, it's really fun just to go there when the weather is nice and on just a regular day or evening and enjoy it. It is just art coming out your ears, and it is just terrific, and it's really kind of held the integrity of what the original vision was. And there's some new construction and stuff on the outside, but the main part of the village has remained the same, very walkable, a great coffee shop there called Tubac Deli
Just
and
had breakfast
coffee,
there.
and
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah. We just drive down every once in a while because it's a nice drive. It's a great place, and it's kind of just relaxing. It's a
Well,
beautiful
and
place.
Tubac
Beautiful place.
people told me something about their community recently. Let's take a very fast break and come back to that. We love sharing Passport 250, which has 250 unique destinations collected from all around Arizona. These include iconic landmarks and historic sites. There are also hidden gems and natural wonders. There are special categories, too, because we can't limit treasures to 250. So these include indigenous travel, dark skies, cheers, commemorating, and dining, among others. There was a woman who said that Tubac residents, and I'm sure not every one of them because nobody can speak for everybody, but they call Tubac El Corazon de Arizona, that it's the heart of the state, partly because
Sure.
it really is a beautiful melding of cultures, indigenous, Mexican, Anglo,
Yep.
and everybody
Absolutely.
wants to be there, wants to get along. It's a very inclusive community, I think. I feel like it's held, it was the first newspaper in Arizona. I feel like it's held
Yes.
all the good of history.
It does, and you have some, again, fantastic people down there. Not just artists, but others. The Lowe family, who are the theater chain people, they were down there. And there's some great gardens and beautiful places. But you know what? If you think of El Corazon de Arizona, you have to think about San Javier del Bac Mission, which is on that piece of land I was talking about between
Yes.
Tucson and Sahuarita, and that place, founded by Father Kino in 1692. And I think has been perpetually under construction since, because they're constantly trying to shore it up. But that is the oldest European structure in Arizona, which is a nice little
Thank you for
tidbit.
giving me a new
Go
one.
down
I
a little
didn't never
farther.
think about that. And the fact that Kino also
Absolutely.
did Tubacacari, and I love
absolutely.
Tubacacari. It's a very obviously very different experience, but it feels like it's closer to Father Kino in some ways because it's still so unchanged.
Absolutely. That is a wonderful place just to walk through, and that is just south of Tubac. And Wisdom's is a cafe down there. You
Yes.
mentioned the chicken, and a great place, and it's a great day trip just to go on down there. And then you're not too far from Mexico if you want to head on over. But don't miss in Sahuarita, we have the Titan Missile Museum. And so this is a throwback to the Cold War era. And we have around Tucson 18 Titan missile silos. This one is a museum and it has the missile still inside it. Obviously, no warhead, don't worry about it. But if you're lucky, you can get a docent who actually worked there. This was open roughly the mid 60s to about the mid 80s. And it is a fascinating trip and just well run and a beautiful museum. And it's right here in River City. We
Well,
just
when I
love it.
was at the Green Valley News, I got to go in with the military and get a tour and
Hmm.
learn things and see things, and that was wonderful. And then when I was a reporter in Tucson, they did a movie called something Missile, I think. Dennis Weaver was in it, and I got to be a reporter in that movie.
Is
And
that
yeah,
right?
but you're right. Not everybody has
Terrific.
missiles all around them, and it is a
N-
slice of
no,
history.
no. It sure is, and today our firefighters use it to learn rappelling, and they throw
Oh,
ropes
how
up over there and everything. They
great!
just had that exercise, so it gets some practical use too. But it's just an interesting little throwback to history. And I run into so many young people, and I say, look, history did not begin the day you were born. There are so many things that you need to know about, and that's one of them. So I sent them over to that museum and said, just enjoy it. There's so many cool things down here. And then if you're looking at the land, Madera
Oh,
Canyon, one of the premier
yes.
birding spots in internationally known. We have got, someone will, pick up on the blue-billed woodpecker out of, Sinaloa, and suddenly you have people jumping on planes coming down here because they have their lists and they have to get them, and so we'll just see them crowd into Madera Canyon and then leave. But it is in the Coronado National Forest. It is a beautiful spot. You start as you enter in Pima County and you end in Santa
I
Cruz
didn't
County,
realize that.
and these. Yeah, right at the very end, you're in Santa Cruz County. It's Santa Rita Lodges out there.
Yes.
Again, the birding, if you're into that, is terrific. But you know what? It was really rediscovered during the pandemic
Oh,
because it was a place you could go. You
sure.
could be outside. You could be just in this beautiful area, watch the deer go by, all the stuff. Sometimes people just needed to escape the house, and that was a great place to go and a popular one.
And it is gorgeous. Well, they sent me down right when I had started, maybe my first or second week with the paper, and our photographer Nancy Beal and I went, and we're looking for a story, a hook, and got lucky. There was a gentleman there named Rick Taylor who let us know pretty quickly that he was the second world's expert on the elegant Trogon, which was then the coppery. The first one
Hmm.
was in his 90s in Peru, so I think Rick has taken that over. And we have stayed friends since that day because you're right, Green
Ah,
Valley is full
terrific.
of interesting people. And
It sure is. And another little tidbit here. I can't recall what it is, but the Elegant Trogon was recently
again,
renamed. And yeah, exactly right. And most people don't know that it had not always been the Elegant Trogon. And so we have it on our website, gvnews.com, if
oh
people
my
want to go look at
gosh.
it. But that was so jarring to the birding community. And some of them say, we're going to ignore it. And others say, no, you have to because the officials are going to use that word and everything. But it's so interesting what, that little world. We get, as reporters, a glimpse into all of these little subcultures that are just fascinating. But some of them, you don't want to get too close. But it's interesting to take a look at them. And this is what our job allows us to do. And I tell you, I've been in this business now over 40 years. And I went, and people said, why did you want to do this? And I said, because I want every day to be different. And
And
it's
boy, is
absolutely
it
what has
ever.
happened.
Now, I had done
Absolutely.
stories on FICO and the Waldens in Green Valley and have continued
Hmm.
to. I just finished a book about history of land in Arizona, talked to them then.
Hmm.
And if I remember this correctly, are the third owners of that land. It was a land grant. It was one of the originals, and then it was sold to, uh, in I think World War One. A couple of magnates who were going to
Yes,
do Guayuli as rubber and Intercontinental, and Queen Wilhelmina bought it from them, and then the Waldens bought it.
absolutely.
And you think that
Absolutely,
is a
Queen.
neat
Yeah,
little bit of Arizona.
absolutely. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands owned it, and the Waldens came in and they were thinking cotton, and then they realized lots of people are doing cotton, and they moved to pecan trees. We now have 100,000 pecan
I
trees in
didn't know
this
there were that
area. It is
many.
the largest stand. Yes, it's about 6 to 7,000 acres. They are it's the largest stand of pecan trees in the world that are irrigated, and it is terrific. They're just beautiful when they're in bloom, and there's a nice curving road that goes through there, and the temperature will drop, 6, 7 degrees just instantly, and it's beautiful. So it's just such a gift to this area, and they're beautiful, and they have been so good to the community, and we just are grateful for the Waldens. We have one of our high schools is
Oh,
named after them,
good.
and just
And
wonderful,
I feel like
wonderful
they're
people.
amazing stewards of
So,
what they have. They're not gonna just turn it over to somebody to develop. I mean, I think they're really
no,
on the right
that is
side of most everything.
absolutely. Absolutely, they are careful about what they do. I know there's some plots up for sale now, just a little bit here and there, and there's a little bit of a changing of the guard, and we'll see how this all plays out for the area. But everybody loves it, and it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful
Well, and
place.
I love the idea that you may go from being the newspaper editor to a resident. I think that's just marvelous. I really like that. It's a great
Hey,
community.
I know it. It is, and I know everything about it. I tell people I know where all the bodies are buried, and I probably buried half of them, and because that was my job. But I'll be nicer when I'm retired. And I think to myself, is there any other place you'd rather be? Absolutely not.
I love that.
Absolutely not.
Oh, wonderful. Um, what? Okay, so people are going to be listening to this truly from all over the world. What
Hmm.
should they make sure they see when they come there? Green Valley, Nogales. What should they make sure they see?
Number one, I would just say see it all for yourself. Don't believe what you read. People think that we're terrified because we're close to the border. We're
Oh,
not. The the immigrants, and they do come through, are coming through. They're going to Phoenix and Chicago and New York, and they're not stopping here. Although we've had them here, but fear, absolutely not. Never, never have had it. And so it's
wonderful.
a beautiful. Almost border community, but not quite, but you get that flavor of it. It is access to so much. It's almost a microcosm of Arizona where you have so many varied things within one state, everything from the Grand Canyon to this gorgeous desert to the high plains to, so much. And we have that here. We have it with the canyon, and we have proximity to Tucson, but we're not in Tucson, which I
Yes.
love. I love being able to go there, and I love being able to leave. And again, the border, which I love, and you cannot beat the food down there, and the people are absolutely awesome. I have not met a bad egg yet in Nogales, and I will tell you the secret. If my wife would let me move down there, I'd do it in a second.
Really?
I love it that much. I love it
Wow.
that much. So,
Well, at
so
least
it's a
until you
beautiful
retire, you
place.
get to be there a lot. And you can still
Hey,
go
there we
there
go.
once you retire.
Absolutely.
Every week.
I, I sense that something in retirement will somehow, one way or another, have to do with the border, and I'm not quite sure what that is yet,
Interesting.
but I suspect it
Oh,
will.
good. Well, one last thing. I have been grateful to you ever since you put Larry's line on the newsroom wall,
Hmm.
and now I'm blanking on how it starts.
Journalism is history on the fly, and you said that, and I said that has to go on our wall, and it is. It's big, and it's on the wall of our newsroom because it is so true. We are capturing history every day, and I tell our folks this. I said, you know what? There's some things we have to do, the car wrecks and the fires and this and that, but let's capture the awesome people of this area and put it in a history book called the Green Valley News.
Perfect.
And they love that idea, and they're doing it.
Well,
and they're
and
doing it.
Charlotte Hall, Arizona's first historian, one of the things that she got right was to recognize that history was going on all around her. And she interviewed people around her, and therefore we still have that. And yes, I love that you're in charge there. I really do. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we love that you are part of our history. I have thumbed through literally every one of our newspapers all the way back to 1964.
Holy
We have the hard
smoke.
copies. And I will tell you, it's kind of funny that sometimes the same story seems to be repeating decade after decade, which is, kind of the way things are. But every once in a while, you hit a great writer with a great story and lots of space to tell it, and you're just so glad it's there.
Lovely. Dan, thank you for the time. Oh, and
Thank
we
you.
have a guest coffee mug today. Usually I supply the coffee mugs, but oh my gosh, compliments of Green Valley News. Now see, I predated coffee mugs. There were no mugs when I was at the Green Valley News, and I love that there is now. Dan, thank you.
Yeah, what a pleasure. This has been nice.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blattney, and I'm Dana Cooper.